And welcome all of you football weirdos out there to a brand new episode on Fickle Sports. I hope all of you are staying safe at home. Don't go outside, do some laps around the house. That's probably allowed. And I hope you're doing something more productive than going deep into the archives of Pornhub. Maybe read a book, not a naughty book. But today I am joined by a man who is definitely reading naughty books in this lockdown, and that is the bearded man himself, aka the Beard from Essex. How are you doing?
Okay, first of all, just to clarify that if I was to be, I would not be reading naughty books. Pornhub is offering free premium. My left hand has never been stronger. And just to echo, yes, we do want you to stay at home, because unlike, say, Mourinho, who's out down the park trying to get Ndombele to do those extra training sessions.
Yeah, that is naughty, isn't it?
It's just, I mean, they're trying to cover it up and they're saying that social distancing was observed. But it's just silly, it just sets a bad example.
I know, and doing this, there's no way of winning the public relations. Like, if you get caught, you get caught. There's no real upside.
Yeah, and Mourinho is one of the most recognisable managers in the world. I don't know. Apparently, it was more just psychological for Ndombele, as if his way of showing his love to him, saying, like, I'm gonna take you out. We're gonna get you ready. We're gonna improve you.
I think Mourinho really just wanted to do it to double check in the flesh that Ndombele hasn't gained 3 stone by not moving.
Like that Eddie Murphy film.
What, Nutty Professor?
That's it. I couldn't remember the name for it, but he's gone full Nutty Professor.
And it'll take 2 years for him to lose that.
The funny thing is, for all his criticisms this season, he's still an absolute nightmare to get the ball off of. And if he got that fat, it'd be even more difficult to get the ball off him. He wouldn't be able to go anywhere on the pitch, but you wouldn't be able to get the ball off him.
No. He would be even better at shielding the ball. But I don't know how we've even got onto Ndombele. But
we got onto it because it's fucking funny.
Exactly. And
should we dive in with what we're actually going to talk about? I mean, I'm happy to talk shit for many hours.
Yeah, but I'm sure the listeners wouldn't be.
They wouldn't appreciate it, because at some point it just gets weird.
Yeah.
Gets a bit cray-cray.
On today's episode, we are doing what we hope is a very long series for each club, and that is the 3 transfers out and 3 transfers in for each team. And the very first team we are talking about today is, Alex, give me a little drum roll.
I don't have any free hands. Don't make a joke there. don't make a joke there.
Wow, you're going to return to the gym and absolutely take on the heaviest dumbbell available.
It's like, how many reps can you do, bro? And I'd be like, 253. And he'd get really confused when I'm on my 100th wank. And I'm like, I'm still going, mate.
Yeah, unlimited stamina. But that team today is Manchester United. Probably the team with the deepest pockets this time around.
Possibly. I think we chose Manchester United. First of all, what we want to do with each team when we do this as well is a player goal. So what we're aiming for with Manchester United is what can we do to turn them into title challengers? Yeah. But we're adding a slice of realism. So we're not just going to go in and say, let's sign Messi. Let's sign. Yeah, we're not going to go in and just do these ridiculous players. We're going to try and base it on add a bit of a slice of realism to it, and see where we can get to, what kind of team we can put together with the 3 transfers in and 3 transfers out to try and get them up there with the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City.
Yeah, and the bit of realism is important, because we can't just fantasize all day. And, Man United fans, they are very, very demanding fans. They have very high expectations. Obviously, they have 20 Premier League titles or First Division championships. And they haven't won that in a long time now. And they've spent a lot of money, and they're desperate to get back into it. So
I feel like Manchester United fans should understand, better than most fans, that just signing players and spending a lot of money doesn't get you anywhere. I've seen a lot of United fans saying, if we sign X, Y, Z, we're going to win the league. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's so much more to football than just throwing a bunch of players together. How many times have teams, say when they come up, they've bought all these like kind of good, experienced Premier League players, and then just gone straight back down?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't work like that. I mean, Man City had it for a long time before they actually won the Premier League.
They did. You need to build that chemistry. That's what Liverpool have, I'd say, above any other team. It's not that well, firstly, they've signed very good players, and they've been very astute with their transfers in, but they've got a clear dynamic in place. They've got a clear vision. All the players are working towards that. All the players they've signed are working towards that. And their cohesion in their team is incredible.
Yeah, their team chemistry is... I haven't seen that team chemistry in a very long time in the Premier League. And you can tell, well, they were basically going on a massive unbeaten run. And that's the reason why they should win the Premier League if it continued. But let's not get into that before we upset any more Liverpool fans.
Actually... I want to argue with you a little bit there.
Go on.
The team I've seen with the best cohesion ever was Leicester City.
Oh yeah, that's a very fair point. That is a very fair point.
I think that was 100 out of 100, just pure. Everyone knew their role and everyone did their role to a T, and that's what happened there. Because they didn't spend a lot of money to get that.
The crazy thing with that team is that they sort of created that within a season, in one season, because they were kind of new signings, right?
Yeah. It was a miracle. We know that already. They made new signings. Everyone just clicked instantly. And we're not saying that won't happen with Manchester United, but what we're saying is that is so rare. Usually new signings come in, they need a bit of time to adapt to the way the team plays, and usually you'll see the benefits of that in a season or two.
Yeah. And also the fact that transfers they can be a big mystery. Like you have like different brackets of like transfer values, say below 10 million pounds, 10 million to 25 pounds, but the higher echelon, 50 million, 35 million plus, they're a mixed bag too. Like you can't tell what players, how they're going to perform in your league all the time.
Yes, yeah. Well, how many examples of that have been Soldado, Shevchenko? The list goes on. Veron, specific to Manchester United.
Yeah.
So the way we're going to do this is we're going to first of all look at last season's transfer windows, and we're going to go on from there.
So yes, let us set the scene from last year's transfer window in the summer. They sold Romelu Lukaku, right, to Inter Milan and bought absolutely no one in attack, which was that baffled so many people last season. And they invested heavily in their defence and bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace and that massive transfer in Harry Maguire from Leicester City. And they also sold or either sent Chris Smalling on loan out to Roma as well.
Yeah, that was a loan deal. There. I think there's still conversations now going on as to whether that's going to be made permanent, because apparently he's done
very well there. That's the crazy thing.
He's played quite well there, so those conversations I imagine are ongoing.
Yeah, and that's basically the main transfers, except for Alexis Sanchez left on loan as well to Inter Milan. That was a big one, but that was basically it for Manchester United.
I think as soon as the summer transfer window closed to when the January transfer window opened, I think they could see quite clearly where the gaps were in their starting 11. And so off the back of that, in January, they signed Bruno Fernandes for 49.5 million, which was a very astute signing.
Looking like a very good bit of business there, especially in his first 9 games. If he can... I don't think he can quite keep up the same production as he has been, but he's looking really... Yeah, it's his football intelligence that impresses me the most.
Yeah, he's a very good footballer. There's no doubt about that. There was a question as to whether he would carry his stats over from Portugal to England, and so far he's done just that, which is quite incredible, really, when you look at his statistics for his time in the Portuguese league.
Yeah, what I also saw whilst watching him was that he went straight into that team and was like, I'm the best player. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna take free kicks. I'm gonna drive and I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna get you guys open, and that takes a lot of balls to do that straight away into a new team, and especially at a club as big as Manchester United. So I was super impressed.
The thing is that his quality was never under any doubt, and I think when he come in, he probably said, "Look, I can do this. When I take a free kick, if you look around, I will be the best free kick taker. When I take corners, I will be the best corner taker." And he kind of has built up a CV that you can't really argue with that, because not only does he do it in Portugal, he does it for Portugal. He does it in the Champions League, so it's. I think if he did come in and kind of wanted to put his stamp on this Manchester United team, it was unarguable, really. What are you going to say? Okay, yeah, but I've been here longer. Yeah, but you're shit. I'm better.
Yeah, you have Fred, he's just chipping the ball out to touch all the time.
Oh, you can't do Fred dirty, because he's actually come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he?
Yeah, but okay, fine. The last 10 games he's done well, but the previous 30, what's going to outweigh the the numbers?
He's on the way up, we'll say.
Okay. We're not getting into
no.
We're not going to piss off that many Man United fans. We're on your side, guys, for this one episode only.
They also signed Igalo, which I think was an incredible signing, actually. On loan, we don't know yet whether or not they're actually going to sign him permanently, but I think he's just what they need, because he's a proper striker. He knows how to hold up the ball. He gets into good positions, and I think he could actually pass a lot on to the young players who they felt weren't quite ready to be up front yet, and I think they could learn a lot of lessons from him.
I will be honest. When the transfer, the loan transfer came in, I was of the opinion that, okay, this is a very, very weird move here. You're gonna bring him from the wild east in China and bring him back and try and slot him into this Man United team, and everyone knows he was quite prolific for Watford for half a season, but other than that, he didn't actually have such a great goal-scoring record in the end. So I was very dubious with him. But Man United realised that it's a very long season. Well, ironically, it wasn't because of coronavirus, but it was a long season, and they were getting injuries from Martial and Rashford, and they have a lot of games in the Europa League and in the cups as well, that they needed someone else up front.
Yeah, and I think they also needed someone more experienced. As with Martial, I mean, Martial prefers to be on the left anyway, and I think with Rashford, there's still a question as to what is Rashford's actual best position. He's still very young. He's still learning the game, so I think it's not a criticism of him to say he doesn't have his best position yet, but I think he's still working that out. So whilst he's working that out, it's good to have someone like Igalo in who can be an out-and-out striker and take that position if Rashford is to go wide. To wrap that up, they sent a total of 192.6 million last season.
That is a lot of dosh.
That is a lot of dosh. And they raked in from transfers, 90% of it coming from Lukaku, 64.78 million. So that gave them, for the 1920 season, a total net spend of 127 million.
Wow.
So what we're going to do, we're actually going to take that figure and we're going to use that as a basis for how much we think they might be able to spend this season.
Yes.
Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take the 127, or we'll call it 128 million, and we're going to knock off the 28 million. The reason we're doing that is because every single club is being affected by the coronavirus, and every single club is going to have an effect on their transfer budget.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. We're going slightly into the unknown because of the transfer market and the fact that clubs won't have any cash around. You know what? I was thinking about this. There were suggestions from reporters that it will get to a place where teams just swap players between each other instead of paying out transfer fees for each other. Or I was even thinking teams might agree transfer fees, but they might say for the very first year that they won't have a big upfront fee for that, and they'll start paying them in a year's time?
I think at the moment, football's already heading that way anyway. Not with the swaps, but with those kind of transfer deals. Not a lot of clubs pay money up front these days. Not all of it anyway. As a matter of fact, to the point, I think it was Aston Villa was actually criticised because for the majority of their transfers this season, they actually paid them all up front, with the idea being that if they were to go down, they didn't have to pay out any more money. It was all paid out. So I think that's already happening. And as far as swap deals happen, I get what they're saying and why they're saying it, but the issue they've got there is swap deals has always been available. It's not exactly a new thing, and you've got to have two players that are willing to go to the team that they're trying to swap with, and both clubs must want the other player. That's quite a rare thing.
Yeah, but they could potentially swap between 3 different clubs, and then the final club, whatever transfer values that they agree upon, they will net off, and then one team will pay whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It might end up being more complex. It'd be interesting to see how it develops.
Will we go towards a North American style of dealing players?
I have a
That'd be
feeling.
interesting.
I have a feeling not. I feel like whatever happens this season, it'll be a temporary.
Oh yeah, it'll be temporary, but
solution.
just for now, it'll be super interesting.
Yeah, it will be. I'm actually quite looking forward to see how it unfolds.
Could you imagine, like, okay, I'm gonna trade you a Harry Kane, but I want Salah and Henderson back. Something you'll see what these directors really think of their players.
Okay, no, what you need to think about here is Daniel Levy. So what he's going to do is he's going to go out and he's going to offer Manchester City Serge Aurier and be like, "Oh, De Bruyne, he looks all right. We'll take him off your hands if you want."
Yeah. And for Harry Kane, I want Lionel Messi, and I want a whole state named after me in Spain.
And 100 million.
Yeah. Otherwise, fuck off.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. We could also throw in Adebayor. I don't know where he is, but we're going to find him. We're going to buy him and then sell him.
Just for you guys to hate your club. Good fans to hate your club. What we're also going to do, to remain consistent, we are going to use the value of players in Transfermarkt website for each player that we transfer out and all the transfers that we have in.
Do you know what's weird? I pronounce it Transfermarkt.
I know, but I didn't want to do them dirty because it actually isn't.
All they've done is knocked out the final E. I refuse. My brain just doesn't acknowledge it. It's Transfermarkt to me.
It's like compare the meerkat.com, right?
As a very good example. But yeah, we're going to use their market values. I would actually say every single player's market value on Transfermarkt /
crashed
is gone down. So we are being consistent, we think, by reducing the transfer budget in line, because it wouldn't really be fair if we kept the transfer budget at 128 million, but Transfermarkt are already reducing the players' market values because of the coronavirus. Why do I keep saying it like that? So just to confirm, that's 100 million they have as a transfer budget for this season. Now, as we announce what players we think they're going to sell, we're going to add their market value to that transfer budget. And then when we get onto the players that we think they should buy, we're going to take away their market value from their transfer budget. So we should be left with a net spend that's above zero, essentially.
And so we're sort of playing Football Manager. The best bit of Football Manager is the first transfer window. After that, don't really bother with the game after, do you?
All right, well, that's blasphemy, so we're going to move on from that.
It's the best bit.
It's just the most amount of bollocks I've ever heard in my life.
I just go in there. I just want to, well, especially in FIFA and Football Manager 19, I just want, Unai Emery, you piece of shit, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm going to go in there, sort out the team, and then it's all going to be perfect, and then I can live with my virtual reality world of the Arsenal squad. Okay,
so moving on from Gary's fantasies, we're going to...
You can't.
We're going to move on, and we're going to start with the transfers out.
Yes. And the very first transfer out that we have for Man United is Alexi Sanchez.
Can I just
who has
ask one quick question? Why did you do such a big intro for the world's most obvious answer?
I'm trying to add a bit of suspense. Imagine if I said the first transfer was
Bruno Fernandes.
Nemanja Vitic. Oh yeah, that would be a nightmare. I
He's
think
shit.
everyone
Get
would
rid of
switch
him.
off.
Bin him.
Yeah, send him to Arsenal for £1.
Arsenal won't
Yeah,
pay
that
it.
is no, yeah, £0 and £1 bid rejected. Yeah, the obvious candidate is Alexis Sanchez, who is everyone will know is on £450,000 a week until June 2020. So that is really hurting Man United's transfer budget and salary overall for the team, because they're already top heavy in having Pogba and Bruno Fernandes now, and Harry Maguire, and also on top of that, David De Gea. They've got a lot of players on heavy wages, but this seems like an immovable wage.
It does. He must have the worst kind of wage to influence ratio in the Premier League.
This transfer makes like every Arsenal fan happy, because he gave like Arsenal the best value for money in terms of goals. I know we didn't get a transfer fee back, but for Barcelona, he had 47 goals and 35 assists in 141 games. And for Arsenal, he had 80 goals and 45 assists in 166 games. That is an unreal level of output from a player.
Yeah, he was very good at Arsenal. I think he's kind of suffered from a little bit of that Fernando Torres kind of syndrome. His form's just dropped off a cliff, and it's a little bit with age, a few injuries here and there, and he's just never been able to replicate his kind of purple patch form.
Yeah, he can't beat his man now, and his passing is completely off, and obviously physically he's not the same athlete that he was for Barcelona and Arsenal, so he has to be really efficient with his game into his latter years. But his other than his goals and assists, he wasn't really an efficient player.
No, I think it makes total sense to get rid of him. It is literally cutting away a humongous amount of deadwood off of the wage budget. So yeah, no qualms there. I think he has to go, because I think he will free up a lot of, not necessarily transfer budget, because he's worth 14.4 million on Transfermarkt, and so it's not going to increase the transfer budget massively, but the wage bill that it is going to clear up for new players, it's
I think the Man United fans will be delighted with 14.4 million. I don't know about you. Absolutely delighted. But I have one thing. The thing that Man United fans didn't see when Sanchez was playing at Arsenal, because they didn't watch every game, obviously, was that he was always sort of coming in deep and taking on players and losing it. And his passing at time was absolutely wayward for Arsenal. But his goals and assists were just at a ridiculous rate, which overshadowed everything. And he was actually a massive loner in the dressing room, and he didn't speak to anyone. So it's amazing how much goals and assists overshadow the worst teammate, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, you can't ignore those players. But for Manchester United, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, which is
why he's our first player to be getting a boot. So that's
out of the door.
14.4 million being added to the transfer budget. So that takes us to 114.4.
Ooh, okay, that's real Football Manager transfer budget. Like, I remember back in the day in like 13, 14 Football Manager, I would like go into edit and just increase the budget of Arsenal's budget, because Arsenal's budget was like, I don't know, something sad like 20 million, because we were, you know, in the Emirates era and we couldn't spend money. I'd just go in there and increase it to 80 million, something ridiculous.
I think Tottenham's budget on this season's Football Manager starts at like 14.
You just don't bother playing with Tottenham on the new Football Manager, basically.
No, basically, yeah. I've tried.
You know, the funniest bit in Football Manager was like in the saved file bit, it tells you how many days and hours you've been playing.
Don't want to see it.
It gives you a little comment, right? You see it, and then like if you play too much, if you get past say 4 or 5 days or something like that, hours played, it says like it's time to change the underwear. It's just funny.
I don't want to see it. No, don't want to know. So our second player that we're going to give the old boot to. Now, this is quite a controversial one, and I'm going to explain to you why. So it's Paul Pogba. Now, here's the issue I have with Pogba. Well, it's not that I have with Pogba, but with the situation he's in. There's always a lot of rumours going around about Pogba. So there's rumours about that he doesn't want to be there, that he's not great in the dressing room. They undermine Solskjaer.
Yeah.
There's all these rumours that fly about. Now, I have no idea if these are true, because it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's just all media bullshit and we find out that he's actually an incredible teammate, that he wants to be there and he wants to help Manchester United thrive.
Possibly.
I don't know. I have no idea. So what I'm doing is I'm actually giving the media some form of fucking credit, which is disgusting, really.
But yeah, from the outside looking in, he kind of looks like his head's not in the right place.
Well,
and
yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, but the thing is, I don't actually. I'm so 50-50. I don't know I don't know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're taking a stance that there's something in the rumours, and that he doesn't want to maybe be there. And I think if a player doesn't want to be there, if it was Ferguson in charge, he would have got rid of him. And I think they should do the same thing now.
Yeah, and yeah, he would probably admit that other than the money, because he's getting paid fuckloads, but the move was definitely a mistake. And to me, like, the whole time he's been there, he's never really played in a team or system which like truly allowed him to express himself. Especially like under Mourinho's like stifling, everyone knows that Mourinho's stifling defensive system. And, you know, you had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who came in, figured it out for a bit, but, you know, he's still a young coach and he's figuring out his way as well.
Yeah, Solskjaer only just seems to be now knowing what he wants his United team to look like.
Yeah, so under Paul Pogba's whole experience with Man United, it's been super up and down. But when I was looking at his stats, this is quite interesting actually. For Juventus, he scored 34 goals and he had 40 assists in 171 games. And for Man United, he had 31 goals and 31 assists in 150 games. So he's kind of on the same clip, right? Which is quite impressive. I know for Man United, he's more the main man, so he should be scoring a bit more, but it's not. The stats are not shabby at all.
No, but I think it comes back to, you remember when we always argue about Pepe and always say the issue you have with Pepe is not that he's not doing what we expected of the player, but he's not doing what we expected of the transfer fee.
Yeah.
And I think Pogba has the same issue, that he was signed for 100 and something million, and you would want more consistency from a 100 million plus player. Even though it's not necessarily his fault, because he has been under two different managers. One that does put so much time and emphasis on defence, which really would stifle a player like Paul Pogba. And the other one who has been kind of, for the last few seasons, just working out like kind of how he wants his United team to actually play.
Yeah.
And we've seen long glimpses of how good he can be with Pogba, but I don't think he's necessarily to blame.
No, it's obviously everyone knows. Everyone who has a decent eye for football knows it's a team game and it's a different way. You have to. What? Oh, Oh, you said drinking.
Sorry. I just took a sip of water there.
I thought you just dropped a floater in the toilet.
Oh, is that what it fucking sounded like?
Yeah.
That's the sound your opinions make as they land in my brain.
Oh my god. We are selling Paul Pogba for 72 million, so that increases the coffer. If you add that to Alexis Sanchez, that is, if I can do my maths.
It's 186.4. Sorry, was you about to say that?
Yeah.
Oh, go on. Go on. You can say it, my friend.
186.4 million fulfilling dollars. I love Dr. Evil. Yeah, and then we go to our final transfer out, and that is the highest appearances for Man United, Mr. Man United himself. That is Phil Jones.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we can get this over that quite quickly. He's on quite high wages. I think he's not really up to the standard anymore at Manchester United. And
No. Do you know how old he is?
32?
No, he's 28.
Bloody hell.
He's been there for an eternity.
You know what?
Heading footballs on the floor.
I like to think I'm really good at knowing players' ages, but that one has surprised me.
He joined very young, I think at 18 or something like that. But yeah, he still has a contract till 2023, and he has an option to extend one extra year. So I can hear Man United fans trembling in the background that he doesn't extend that deal, and they hope Man United sell him. He's got like over 200 appearances, and he's due a testimonial, but he refuses to do a testimonial because he thinks no one will turn up.
I think he's just one of them players who they signed him for his potential, and I just think he never realised that potential.
But he's serviceable enough to play within the first team.
Well, I think he's one of them players that you would happily maybe have around in the first team, but I think he's 28 years old, and I would question that if they turn around and say to him, you're going to be our backup centre-back. I don't think he would want that. I think he's 28. I think he feels he could probably contribute more.
Yeah, he should really. I mean, as great as Manchester United is as an institution, he should just go out and have some fun. He's earned enough money.
He should be in a team anywhere between, say, West Ham and maybe, if he's lucky, in Everton.
Yeah, and I think he'll do quite well. I do think he'll do quite well.
But yeah, so that's our final player.
We sell him off for 6.3 million. What's the final coffer?
We have a grand total of 192.7 million.
Wow.
That's a disgusting amount of money, isn't it?
These are all ifs and buts, but it's fun to play with these numbers. Now we get onto the juicy stuff, the really juicy stuff, and that's the transfers in.
The transfers in. So the first player I'm going to choose, and I think this is going to cause quite a lot of controversy. Now, I will explain why I've chosen him. So it's Ben Chilwell.
Oof.
Now,
Oof.
I know. Now, firstly, he has been a solid left back for Leicester City for the past 2 seasons. He's really good. He just seems to be really good at kind of concentrating and being in the right place at the right time as a left back.
Yeah, physically he's great. He gets up and down the pitch very well, and defensively, I didn't think he was so good defending, but watching a couple of games of his defending and interceptions and his sort of pressing is actually quite impressive. He managed to get into the England team as well.
A well-deserved. It was well-deserved getting into the England team as well, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and he's got a very good cross.
He's got 3 assists last season. And I think what's worth mentioning is what you really want. You do want a bit of balance in your kind of team. And you have Wan-Bissaka, who does seem a bit more of a fullback than he does a wing-back.
Yeah.
And I think Chilwell could be kind of the Wan-Bissaka of the left-back.
So you want Ben Chilwell to fight it out with Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw's on a lot of money. He's on a lot of money as well.
Is on a lot of money, but here's the thing: you have Williams, who I think's just at the moment just a little too young. Maybe we should even send him on loan.
Right.
But that's delving into the transfers out. But I think it's just too early for Williams. And I think with Chilwell and Shaw, I think Shaw, you'd be willing to have him battle it out with Chilwell to see who's number one. And it's
Yeah.
one of them where you expect Chilwell to win and to fit in better, and Luke Shaw will probably be moved on in the next season or so.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because you wouldn't have this at any other club. Because you have a club as big as Man United, you can have two big players battling it up for left back, which is a bit crazy.
Yeah,
But
but in that time while they're battling it out, we hope Williams continues to develop, and then it will be Williams versus whoever wins the battle of, say, Shaw and Chilwell.
yeah, because Luke Shaw, he's he had a horrible injury. He had a double leg break.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Which is obviously terrible. He was looking really good, but now we've gotten past that stage. Now we really want to see the hunger in Luke Shaw. I know Luke Shaw does work hard, but like it comes to a point where he really needs the competition to see it's survival of the fittest really now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Manchester United can afford to have that battle, and I think it's a good thing to have for them because
Yeah.
their strategy this season compared to last season, they clearly thought in the summer we need to sort out the defence, and then in the winter we need to have a few more attacking options. I feel like they're now at the point that there's not a certain position, like kind of a group of positions like defence, midfield, or attack that they need to improve. It's just specific positions, and I think left back is one of those positions. So our first pick is Ben Chilwell, 36 million being taken off our transfer kitty. That leaves us with 156.7 million.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now,
That is a sizable amount.
just to add to Chilwell, the reason why we think he's a reasonable transfer target is because Leicester have proven over the years that for the right price they are willing to sell. And we think if Manchester United came in with a sensible bid, we do think Leicester would let them go.
Yeah, it's sad to think that because Leicester's got a good thing going again, and they might potentially get gutted again. But yeah, if the money's right, the money's right. No one should ever forget about that in terms of they think they can have a moral high ground of who their favourite players are, but money talks at
It
the
does.
end of the day. So yeah, our second transfer in to replace Paul Pogba, and that is Sergey Milinkovic-Savic.
Of Lazio.
Yeah, the man from Lazio, the man mountain, I should say, from Lazio.
6'3".
Yeah, would you like to explain what your reasons are for bringing this crazy man in?
Well, firstly, I would say that this. I don't know why this matters, but I'm gonna say this anyway. But physically, he's very similar to Paul Pogba. You don't need to replace.
Looks stronger then.
Uh-huh.
Looks stronger than Paul Pogba.
Maybe, but it was just weird to me that basically what we're doing is swapping out one player who's 6'3", very kind of good on the ball, good balance, and we're just bringing in a like for like.
You were not very... Yeah, if we're a director of football, we're not very imaginative here.
But he's not as offensive minded with Fernandes. And okay, let me explain that a little bit further. Bruno Fernandes is a very offensive mover. He likes to get into the box. He likes to make runs into the box and to get forward whenever he can and to make late runs into the box. Savic is similar, but he's more positive with his passing, whereas Fernandes might be at the end of those passes. Although Savic does have a bit of a filthy long range shot.
Yeah. He scored quite... There's one season where he scored like 14 goals for Lazio from midfield, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and as I say, he is an offence-minded midfielder. He does like to pick up the ball. And he does like to be positive with it. He doesn't like to kind of play it backwards. He wants to get the ball forward. He wants to be positive. He wants to be going towards goal.
Yeah, I think he's quite an all-rounder. I think watching a few Lazio games, Lazio really try and involve him in like via Savic. For me, yeah, like you said, like he's got a great physique, 6'3", strong, and as long as he adapts to the speed of the game in the Premier League, he will probably fly. And he's young as well. He's 25, so he's got plenty to learn and get better. I think that he will have learnt a lot tactically in Italy as well, which is a great it's a great learning curve playing in Italy.
Yeah. And he's got very good, I would just add, he's got very good kind of control. And for 6'3", he's actually got very good balance.
Yeah. He's got a bit of the Peter Crouch in him. But, yeah, and I will say, no, I don't think there's any risk of him underperforming in Man United in such a big club, because he knows how to play under pressure, under the Mafia's thumb in Lazio. But the great thing for this signing was that Man United would sort of have two like super intelligent midfielders together in Savic and Bruno. Unfortunately, that it kind of is negated by having Fred around, who sort of fouls everything underneath the sun. But we'll not get into that.
Why are you after Fred? Why are you
I don't know.
Is it because his name's Fred and he's Brazilian?
And he's not a Flintstone. But that would be a massive plus. And you have Pogba, he's probably a bit better than Savic, but at least you'll have Savic, who'll probably cost less, but his head's in the right place and is determined, because I think physically he could dominate the Premier League. And imagine that, the two Serbian boys, Savic and Matic, they'll have a great time.
I wouldn't mess with either of them, to be honest with you.
No. So physically, Man United would suddenly become, I don't know, like the NBA version of Premier League football, and they would shit all over Man City. Can you imagine that? 5'8" players versus 6'3" players in Man United versus Man City.
It's like, we may not win, but you're definitely going to get fucked up in this game.
Yeah, you'll be injured for about 3 or 4 games after that. We've won the long-term game.
So we're going to take him with his transfer market value being at 57.6. We're gonna sign him, and that reduces our transfer budget down to 99.1.
99.1.
So that brings us to our final transfer in. Now,
ooh, I'm excited.
Now, Manchester United fans, we've listened, right? We've seen what you guys are saying.
Begrudgingly listened.
And this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 2 players in this bit, and I'll tell you why. Sancho, his market value is 105 million. He puts us 5 million over budget.
You need an emergency parachute payment from Edward Wood if this is going to happen. He needs to sell his estate, which I'm sure you guys will be very happy for him to do.
He needs a new one. Now the United fans know where he bloody lives.
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk about him a little bit, because he's a player who could end up going to Manchester United. But to be honest with you, we don't think it's going to be this season for numerous reasons. I think one, with the whole coronavirus outbreak, we think these massive transfers just won't probably happen this season. And add on top of that, I think with Sancho, I think if Borussia Dortmund don't want to sell him, and Sancho is happy to stay there for the next 1 or 2 years, which I think he is, I think you're going to have to pay more than what you can afford.
Yeah, and German clubs, they strike me as very financially efficient and well run compared to the Premier League, because it sounds like there's reports that the Premier League teams kind of live month to month, which is kind of crazy to hear. So I don't think they'll be super desperate for the money. If they are, then maybe, but other than that, no.
No, I mean, German clubs are much better run, but obviously they went through a lot of trouble, and they revamped their whole system, which is why I think that it has to be owned a certain amount by the fans, doesn't it, in the Bundesliga? Yeah,
which is a good system.
But we'll briefly touch on Sancho, that if you guys do pull off this incredible deal, I mean, for budget reasons, we'll be fine to like kind of slip 5 million over budget. But as I say,
you're the dodgiest accountant ever.
Just under the carpet.
Yeah.
But we also think that Sancho would be quite happy to stay at Borussia Dortmund at least for the next season or 2. And that always makes the deal a bit more difficult. If Sancho come out and said, I want to leave, then I think this deal becomes a lot more realistic. But I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Sancho, don't you think?
I mean, he's an incredible player. First of all, his dribbling is insane. He just ghosts people. He just goes past him. He makes people look silly.
Yeah, and people think it's arrogant, but the skills he's pulling off, like it's always under control, and it's very instinctive as well.
I think for the last 2 seasons, he's been in the top 3 for contributions to goals. This season alone, he has 14 goals and 15 assists.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think it's so impressive because how many players kind of are skilled in one of them? It's 99% of players. Like, you don't get many players who notch up that many goals and assists. It's always an awe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the goals and assists. Wow, yeah, you're talking about someone like Thierry Henry level, basically.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And he can finish as well. I mean, I would say his biggest attributes are probably his passing and his dribbling, but he can finish if he needs to.
Yeah, and it's the old classic saying of like putting bums on seats, but he would really bring back the excitement back to Old Trafford. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, Man United could raise all ticket prices by 20% and they would still sell out the stadium each week.
He's one of them players. You just want to watch him. He's just so entertaining, and he's so good with the ball. And I think you said that some people like kind of call it an arrogant, but he does the job that he wants to do.
It's the confidence, man. It's all about confidence, but he deserves a lot of respect for playing in a foreign league, and it kind of shows how mature and driven he is to succeed. Because he could have stayed at Man City. It would have been difficult, but it would have been nice and cushy. But
I was really hoping, actually. Sorry, I spoke over you there a sec. I just want to add to that. I was actually really hoping that he could set he could be the example to other young English players. Don't worry if you can't make it here. There's too much competition. There's a lot of money. It's always going to be hard.
Yeah.
Go abroad. Do it elsewhere.
Yeah, and he would have learnt a lot tactically out there abroad, and being a first-team player, he would have learnt a lot of responsibility at Dortmund, and Dortmund are a very well-coached team, so he will have no problems coming in to Man United and performing straight away, I think.
Yeah, and I think also, just to add to that Dortmund are a very good club at helping to develop these players, so it was a very clever decision by him to go to a club like Dortmund.
And Dortmund deserve the massive fee that they're going to get. Hopefully they deserve it.
They signed, I think they signed him for 8 million, so it's disgustingly good business by Dortmund.
Man City. Not only is Man City sold him for 8 million, let go of a worldie, and he's going to join Man United potentially in our fake world.
The thing is, all they had to do was give him a chance. That's what he wanted. And they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I can confirm to you that his market value is 105.3 million. Which takes our budget to negative 6.2. Now, what we're going to do, we're now going to, as we said at the beginning, that we think at the moment is a bit unrealistic. So we're going to give you a more realistic target.
Go on.
So let me just add the 1.3 million back on. So we're back to 99.1 million. And that player is Thomas Lemar.
Thomas Lemar. I actually look at him. I think I don't know what Atletico Madrid are complaining about. He's pretty awesome still, in my eyes.
Well, what is he, like kind of 24, 25? I don't know why they're... I don't know what's happened. Maybe he just hasn't been given a chance, or maybe the thing is, you have got Diego Simeone as their manager, and I feel like if
he's a disciplinarian, he probably wants him to defend.
Yeah, if he does, and I feel like if he doesn't 100% do as he's told, and I have no idea what's happened there, but something has clearly happened, and he's just not getting the games. He only played like 17 games for last season, was it?
Yeah, but when he gets a chance, he still looks like he sparks attacks, like 1-2s, and you can see he sort of supercharges Atletico Madrid. But maybe the Atletico Madrid would say like you're silly or whatnot. But that's just what I see really. So he would still be a very good signing in the Premier League. What is his Transfermarkt value?
21.6.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you'd be you can give some money back to the Man United fans after that. That would never happen, but you could.
No, well, I'd say it's a bit more realistic because he seems to be up for sale. He doesn't seem to have fitted in at Atletico Madrid. I mean, to be fair, he didn't get any. In the time he's been there, he didn't get any goals and assists this season. Last season, he got, I think it was 2 goals and 3 assists at Atletico. But there's definite ability there. I mean, when you watch him, he is one of those players who, he has offensive output. He's a good passer, he's a good dribbler, he's a good crosser, and he can hold on to the ball. There's definitely,
and he dribbles he definitely dribbles between the lines. You know what? I think he would be quite good on the right wing. He would probably take Daniel James's position, and he will come in. He'll come in and sort of not be an inside forward, inside playmaker. So you can kind of have Martial and Rashford. When they attack, there will be more of a 2 up front, and you have Thomas Lemar like inverting inwards, which might give a better balance to the team, maybe.
Yeah, I think he, as I say, there's definite ability there. Atletico, it hasn't quite worked out for him, but I think there's no reason why he couldn't come to Manchester United, and he would probably end up being on the right. I know they have James, but I feel like James is still developing as a player. And what a player James would be to come in off the bench and to help learn off of Lemar. But I feel like Lemar could be a really good signing for them, and I'd say it's a lot more realistic than Sancho.
Yeah, and like you'd have like 3 very technically sound players, like really good players in Savic, potentially Bruno Fernandes and Lemar, sort of orchestrating that midfield and the fence.
Well, together. Lemar would be on the right?
Yeah.
I mean, he can play in the centre, but I think he can basically.
Oh no, yeah, just in general, just like as because Lemar would come in and cut in and sort of play make around, sort of what like Juan Mata did a bit, and so that would be the chances created for Rashford and Martial would just skyrocket with that team. Yeah,
I think he almost feels like he would like kind of slip right in. He's one of them players.
Yeah, and you've got Wan-Bissaka overlapping on the right, and you got Ben Chilwell overlapping on the left. That's just even's got me excited, and I bloody hate Man United. So
that's it. They are our 3 transfers out.
Yeah,
transfers in. Should we do a quick recap?
Yeah, let's go over Man United starting 11.
Oh shit! Actually, you know what? Hang on, bear with me. We should probably add in that leaves them with a transfer budget of. Bear with me. 77.5.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
Now you just splash it again. They'll splash on something else. Something ridiculous. They'll splash on Ibrahimovic. Probably.
The thing is, with that sort of money, I mean, you have to take into account that these players are not going to be bought for their market value. But at the same time, that's a lot of money to be left over. Say Corona takes away more money than what we've estimated. I would say the players we've selected are very realistic.
And there we have that. That is our Man United transfer business concluded. This is the team that you're going to fight for the title with. You're going to snatch back. You're going to laugh at Liverpool's the fact that they haven't won the league because of coronavirus. And then you're going to go back the next season and then you're going to steal it from them.
It's going to be funny when we do the Liverpool transfers in and transfers out, and we're going to be saying, and you'll be laughing at Manchester United as you beat their record, completely flipping it.
Yeah. So let's go through the starting lineup.
What we think it should be. The title challenging starting 11. In goal, Romero.
What?
Should we? Let's just take it in turns. Get this over and done with quickly. Would you like to start?
Yep. It's David De Gea in goal.
Right back, we have Wan-Bissaka.
We have good old Harry Maguire.
Centre back, we really wasn't sure about this one, but how well he played when he returned from injury, I think it has to be Bailly. It's Bailly, isn't it? It's not Bailey, it's Bailly. I always say
Bailly. Eric Bailly.
I'm so shit at players' names, but we think he deserves to be in there. He played really well.
Let's see if Alex can pronounce the left back's name.
Chile Wheel.
Ben Chilwell. Good old Ben.
Is he
Ben
Irish?
Chilwell, well, you've anointed him Irish, according to that. Ben Chilwell at left back.
So we've gone with a 4-3-3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We feel like the holding player will it'll either be McTominay or Fred, but as Fred is the more experienced player, and he is really improving at the moment.
Whoa.
Something Gary doesn't want to admit to.
Whoa.
You want
Feels
McTominay
me.
in
If Savage might come in and be like, you have to play Matic. And I'd be like, sure. You two, I'm scared of you. I just can't look you in the eye. I'll do whatever you want.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say Fred, but if Savage comes on our podcast and asks, because that's going to happen.
Accepting whatever he says.
We'll put Matic in there. But Fred.
Even though he can only speak Serbian and Italian, probably. But
I understand what angry is. So we're going Fred in central midfield, defensive central midfield.
Yep, we have Bruno Fernandes.
We have Savage next to him.
Yep, on the left, we'll go Martial.
On the right, we'll go Lemar.
And in your fantasy world, Jadon Sancho.
Or in if the impossible does happen, Sancho.
And up front, Marcus Rashford. And that is the title challenging team for Man United.
Do you know what I like about that team? There's a lot of balance in there, I think.
There is. And great balance between youth, bit of experience, great technical ability.
Defence and attack.
Yeah, you've got a leader in Maguire. You've got a great shot stopper in David De Gea.
They all work very hard defensively.
Yeah, and you have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
And yeah, let's see what he can do when he actually gets his team together, because he's been very inconsistent in his time, but at the same time he's still building his team. So let's see what Ole can do.
Yeah, Ole's at the wheel.
That I like how that chant died. Like literally,
it's my favorite video clip.
He did so well, and then did so shit. They had to retire the chant. It was.
It's funny how football can turn in an instant somehow.
Yeah, it's like we can't bring that up again because it's like it's been cursed. As soon as
stop it! Stop! Don't say anything.
But that's our signings.
That is it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Better like and subscribe, because we've been going over an hour and a half with this, and I am exhausted and hungry.
Yeah, I'm fucking hungry too. Do you want to go out for dinner? We've been on the phone for 2 hours and 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Understand our struggle. Stay safe, everyone.
We don't even like each other.
Yeah, don't go outdoors. Don't get tempted.
Don't do a Walker. Don't do a Grealish. Don't do a Mourinho.
Get back on Pornhub.
Pornhub and survive. See you later, guys.
See ya.
Outro music.